Welcome back. The 2017 film Call Me By Your Name, about the romance between young men in Italy, captivated audiences all around the world. Now the author behind the book that inspired the film is out with a highly anticipated sequel called Find Me. Author André Aciman joins me now. It's so good to have you back.
Nice to be back.
When last you were here, Call Me By Your Name was out, both the book and the movie. Everybody knew the story. Now I have to be careful because I don't want to give anything away from the second game. But can we talk, second book? Can we talk about the name of the book, Find Me? It has a particular meaning later in the book. But I also felt like it was about finding me, seeing me, finding love in time, all of those things. Am I wrong?
No, I think every interpretation is correct. You can't be wrong with that. But it's more like an invocation, you know, like somebody out there or somebody that I've known in the past, please come back, please find me, look me up. I'm dying to meet you again.
Invocation, maybe a prayer.
It is. It has that sense of it.
Yeah, it has such a spiritual sense. Your writing is very elegant. These people are very erudite, but you're like a sharp knife. I don't even know I'm cut and then I'm bleeding. The emotion is so strong in some of these things. What is it like for you to write about these characters and these feelings?
Well, you know, initially as you're writing, you come up with the emotions. Of course, you have to sort of say, what is the emotion in question? And do I have to feel it? But then as you begin to rewrite the sentence and rewrite it again, and you edit and you look for things that may be wrong, it becomes more distilled and more distilled. So by the end, the feeling that put you there initially, you can catch it in words, but there's been so much labor that some of it is lost to the author.
Are you then surprised when it comes back to you from the reader?
Yes, they say, how come you don't feel this? Well, I felt it initially.
Right, that makes sense. That makes sense. When you were here last, I wondered about a sequel, and I believe you said no, you weren't planning it. Were you actively not wanting to do a sequel, and if so, what changed your mind?
I didn't want to think in terms of sequels, so I was thinking more in terms of maybe I'm doing something towards that. I wasn't decided. It took a long time for me to realize that I was actually taking those characters and putting them back on paper. So I didn't want to commit until the very last minute, but I knew what I was doing all along. Just didn't want to go public with it because I wasn't sure.
Excellent. Okay, so did you know that when you told me no?
I don't know. I don't remember.
You were still thinking about it.
Yes.
Elio and Oliver are the characters we know from the movie, and so we were having a discussion in our office yesterday about, do we want to know what happened to them? And some people were fine with leaving it, undetermined, and some of us desperately wanted to know. It was interesting.
Well, I set the last chapter in a city that is sort of dear to me. I'm still not decided how dear it is. It's Alexandria, where I was born, and in many ways for me it was a homecoming. So I went to Alexandria in order to play with the idea of putting things together again, putting them back.
And Greek arts, Greek history are what these characters, have originally met over and bonded over. This book has become a classic for a lot of people who wanted to see their lives, their souls immortalized in a love story like this. What has that meant to you to hear that back from people? What a benchmark this has been in the progress of people being seen for who they are.
It means a lot. I mean, when I wrote the book, as again, as a writer, you're crafting something. You have no idea whom it's going to speak to, what the reaction is. Sometimes you think they're never even going to publish this. But as you get response from people, and I've been getting responses for about, now 15 years, and the take is usually, you've defined me, you've given me hope, you've allowed me to speak to my parents. This is the kind of love I want. Or in some cases, the saddest is, this is the kind of love I could have had. And now I'm 80 years old, and it's never going to happen. And so you get the whole gamut of people. And it's very moving for a writer to get this kind of response.
Right. Is this book going to become a movie, do you think?
I would love it if it became a movie, but I haven't heard anything from anyone.
I think you will. Elio's father takes up a lot of this book, and I was not expecting that. Although in the movie, I love the performance of the actor who played the father. And if I'm not mistaken, there were a few things in the movie that weren't actually in the original book, right? Did you carry some of those forward?
No, I took his name because
You took his
he
name,
didn't
yeah.
have a name
Right.
in my book. He was Professor P. And I loved it because I don't like to name my characters. But eventually I had to give him a name. So I gave him, what name can I give him? The movie came out, it had the name. When I started writing the book, he had no name. So eventually I sort of borrowed from the movie.
I think that's sort of interesting that the artistic process
Oh,
has a stew-like quality as it goes
Yeah, well,
forward.
yes,
And
it
that you
did.
borrowed back and forth. There was also a note in the way the actor played the father in the first
Right.
book that was somewhat in the first movie. I get that I interchanged these things in the movie that was not necessarily in the book, and so I thought maybe he might explore a different side of his life
Oh.
in the book. I wasn't sure what I was coming into. Did that occur to you?
No, it did not. I mean,
That's why you're a best-selling author and I'm not.
No, I just didn't want to go there. It didn't even occur to me. I wanted him to sit next to a beautiful sort of younger lady, and because that's what happened to me as a writer. I was riding on a train. This woman comes, sits next to me, says, "I'm going to the bathroom. Could you hold my dog?" And that's the bit. Then I said. Then she got off the train, and I said, "Beautiful moment. I have to do something with it."
Interesting. And so that really invites us to think about not only the love that we have in our lives, but as you mentioned, the love that maybe we could have had. As we look at our society now, and maybe we're trying to capture some of these moments that were impossible in the past, do you have any thoughts on how we capture love in our life or how we look at opportunities to love?
Most opportunities in life are lost. I think we have to go with that. But there are some fantastic moments that basically accidents. Usually you can't plan these things. I met my wife at a party. I was going to the party because I had nothing else to do. She went to the party because she didn't want to stay home. And we just met there and immediately bonded. But the thing is that you have to be open to the adventitious, that which comes along and could be. Sees it, and that's what I learned from my own characters, because I'm not the kind of person who seizes opportunities, but my characters do. And I say, okay, that's what one does in life. So whenever you have an opportunity, any opportunity, not just in love, seize it, because it's not going to come back again.
Say yes.
Always say yes.
Because
Always.
the river of life goes on.
Yes.
Thank you so much for
Thank
coming
you.
to visit with us.
Thank
It
you
was
for
lovely
having
to
me.
see
Thank
you
you for
again
having
anytime. Next up on New Day, Harlem Globetrotter Zeus McClurkin shows us his mad skills and maybe tries to teach me a little something. That should be a tough job for him. He may not know after this.